Another Sunday playoff spoiler leads to a smashing celebration. And what future Hall of Famer is doing to help those affected by Helene.
NASCAR Daily with Shannon Spake.
Happy Monday, everyone. Thank you so much for starting your week here with us here on NASCAR Daily. Shannon Spake. It is September 30th, and we have so much to get to today because it was a huge weekend out in Kansas. All three series in action, all three series in their playoffs. We had two spoilers, count them, two spoilers in the three races in NASCAR's top three series. Plus, Greg Biffle is going to swing by. The Hall of Fame nominee is doing some great things right now to help those affected by Hurricane Helene. So he's going to be here to talk about that. But first, let's get to the racing. We'll start with Sunday and the Cup Series race because we had a big old spoiler by Ross Chastain. This is the second time he's played spoiler in the playoffs. Remember, he won Phoenix last year, the season finale, and then, of course, getting it done yesterday in Kansas. Lee Diffie with another great call to the end.
Checkered flag is waiting, and it's going to be win number one for season 2024 for Car 1. Ross Chastain and Trackhouse Racing win in Kansas.
And then, of course, smashing the watermelon. Fifth time that Ross Chastain's been able to do that in the Cup Series. I love it. I was actually getting a little worried for him up there. I don't know if you guys noticed, but he looked like he was a little wobbly on the roof of that car. Thankfully, he made it down, was able to celebrate with that watermelon. But I love this. Ross Chastain has now won on a road course, super speedway, intermediates, and, of course, Phoenix last season. What a win it was for him. And listen, I don't know, maybe he knew that this would be good luck, but when he showed up at Atlanta a couple of weeks ago without the beard, everyone kind of questioned what he was doing because usually, you have the playoff beard and things start to go well, and he kind of went the opposite way. Since then, he's had a 13th, a 4th, a 10th, and a win. So maybe the lack of facial hair is actually doing something for him. But this is incredible, 5th career win. But what's even more incredible is it's the second time in the playoffs that we've had a spoiler. So we'll have to see what happens in Talladega this weekend. Okay, we did have some playoff issues again. These drivers are just issue after issue after issue every single week. It started with Chase Elliott, who had that engine issue in practice and qualifying, had to start in the back of the field. Early on the race, we just start to see things go very badly. Kyle Larson, after that dominant performance 1 week ago in Bristol, just a really rough day. I lost count as to how many times he had to come down pit road. Christopher Bell, Austin Cindric, Blaney Hamlin, Joey, William Byron, everybody with just issues out there at Kansas. It was a wild day for sure for a lot of our playoff drivers and certainly mixed up the standings. We'll get to that in just a second. Ryan Blaney was able to rebound with a 4th place finish. Christopher Bell was able to rebound with a 7th place finish. So let's hear what those two drivers had to say about their days.
And at the end there, I don't know if I had enough laps, and then I think the bottom got worse. Like it cooled off a little bit. There was more grip up top, and it wasn't as beneficial. But, good recovery. We got a couple things we got to work on, but proud of the fast car. Appreciate the 12 guys for sticking with it all day, and probably the best we've run here in a long time, especially with this next-gen car. So proud of that, and gives us hope going on. So appreciate the effort all day.
Wish I had a couple corners back. It's funny how you have 267 laps in a race, and if you had a couple corners back, your race would look a whole lot different. So, I at one point I thought we were going to finish a lot worse than 7th, so we got out of here with a pretty decent points day, but sure feels like we left a little bit on the table.
Oh my God, Christopher Bell is all of us, right? If we could just have a couple of corners back in life, maybe things would be a lot different. William Byron, he gained the most on the day. He gained 20th. He is now on top of on the standings in that 1st place. Ryan Blaney gained 17 points on the day. He's 2nd. The biggest dropper would be Tyler Reddick. He lost 24 points yesterday in Kansas. He now finds himself below that cut line as he dropped 6th, but you could take a look at that. It's so tight right now heading into Talladega. Denny Hamlin just 11 above. Alex Bowman? I'm having a hard time see that. Alex Bowman 8-4-4. It is a wild ride right now in the Cup Series playoffs. And of course, it's going to get even more wild as we head to Talladega. Okay, truck big win for Corey Heim. It's his 6th career win, his 2nd at Kansas. Of course, he did so with a little bit of help from Ty Majeski when he ran out of fuel. But this was a cutoff race. So we did have two guys going home after this race in the Truck Series. Two-time champion Ben Rhodes will no longer be part of the Truck Series playoffs, and Daniel Dye. So the round of 8 kicks off at Talladega. And of course, as I've mentioned before, you never know what's going to happen out there in Talladega, Alabama. Another spoiler. We had 2 spoilers this weekend. I did mention that. Eric Almirola, my goodness, going and dropping down into the Xfinity Series, getting a victory in Kansas. He won over Cole Custer. Of course, that's our defending champ in the Xfinity Series. And remember, maybe a little bit of redemption for Eric Almirola. This is the track where he broke his back in the Cup Series a couple of years ago. So goes out there, gets his 6th career Xfinity Series win. What a cool victory for Eric Almirola. We'll take a look at the playoff standings on both of those a little bit later, but later this week, I should say. But Justin Allgaier, he was the biggest drop in the Xfinity Series playoffs because, of course, he came in on top of the standings, dropped down 8 spots heading in to Talladega this weekend. That's because of that crash, finishing 36th on the day. All right, so while we were all enjoying the race on Sunday, there were millions of people who were coming to the reality of the devastation that Helene had left in its path. A lot of folks in Western Carolina just really digging out of the rubble and the devastation. And Greg Biffle, of course, he's an Xfinity Series champion, a Truck Series champion, a Hall of Fame nominee. But this weekend, he was taking his helicopter and going and helping deliver supplies, helping to rescue some of those folks. And Greg, I really appreciate you popping in to talk to us right now, because we were just talking. I don't think that this is getting enough attention as it should be. And I know that you and a handful of others, including your wife, Christina, were really kind of lending a hand and trying to help those folks out there. What prompted you guys to start this initiative in the first place?
Well, really what prompted it is I got a Facebook message that there was a family stranded up in the mountains in an Airbnb with young kids. And, as you know, people that rent Airbnbs don't have, days or weeks worth of food or canned food available. So it started to become apparent right away that they weren't the only ones. And so that brought attention to, the situation and the scale of the situation is just, to be honest with you, I don't even know how to put it into words, because you think about from Georgia to North Carolina to Tennessee, all the way to Virginia. My rock mine in Speedwell, Virginia, just outside of Wytheville, got devastated, wiped out. The bridge is gone. There's all kinds of damage, but there's nobody stranded. So just the widespread amount of devastation that's going on. And the problem is those mountain communities all over, the roads are completely washed out off the side of the mountain. The road does not exist anymore, in or out. And it's not one area. It's not Asheville. It's not, Banner Elk. It's all the way from the state line to the state line. So it is a huge undertaking that there's just, the scale of this is incredible, how many people are stranded.
Were you able to get to that family?
I got within about 8 miles of being able to reach the family, and the weather just came down on me, got down right on top of the mountain, and we tried 3 ways in, and I wasn't able to reach them, but I found out somebody else was able to get in from the other side and got that family out. So they were able to get out, and we were able to evacuate several other families and took in supplies and things you don't think about, propane tanks. And a lot of those folks up there are savvy. They have generators, but the problem is they're out of fuel now. They've been there for 3 days. So now they're saying we're out of fuel, we're out of insulin. Some have medical devices that need to be plugged in and those kinds of things. The other thing is they don't have any communication. So all the phone lines down, internet, they don't have any Wi-Fi. So we were able to take a Starlink and put up a Starlink, and there's a crowd of like 8 people around calling their loved ones. So just things that it's just incredible, all of the stuff that you don't think about makes a big difference. So we were able to get in and out, make a lot of trips, take a lot of supplies in, and fly people out.
Yeah, tell me, how many trips did you make? Did you start at Concord? Like, where were you guys? Who was helping provide some of the supplies for you guys to bring in and out?
Well, I'll tell you, the effort is incredibly widened. So when we started, I think there was 2 helicopters in the air when we first saw the Facebook post. That next morning, there was probably 20 helicopters that showed up. By the end of the day, there was probably 30 to 35 helicopters, including, NASCAR teams. I think Hendrick and Gibbs had their machines up in the air. So fixed wing pilots. The Statesville Airport, one of the hangars in the Statesville Airport, is completely full in a day with donations and supplies. So it expanded very quickly from a Facebook post, and honestly, not a lot of people know what's going on and how devastated it is. When I flew through this area, there's like 6 cars on the railroad tracks. There's a mobile home on I-40. There's tractor trailers from, I think it's Ingalls or one of the Publix or one of the grocery chains. Their tractor trailers are in the creeks. It's pretty devastating what they've gone through, and that's just in the main. Then you have all this, rural areas out in the mountains that are well populated.
Well, listen, I'd love to have you back to talk about racing. This is not the time to do that because of what is going on. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I can have you back to talk about that and talk about the Hall of Fame nomination and all of that stuff. But you and your wife, Christina, and everyone that's kind of spearheading these efforts for folks that are just struggling so bad, you guys are angels. And I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to come on and talk to us about it.
Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate it.
Definitely want to thank Greg Biffle for taking a few minutes to join us. And for everybody that's been affected by Helene, we are sending love and prayers and just hope that you guys stay safe and get out safely. So on Mondays, we do Best Day Ever. I tell you who I think had the best day ever over the weekend. And for me, that is going to be Carl Edwards. Carl was back at the track this weekend in Kansas. He was on the track. Take a look at that, driving the pace car. I'm surprised he wasn't like Richard Petty and didn't want to come off the track. It's awesome to see him out there. He's also going to be on Inside the Playoffs this week. So we're going to be able to talk all about the playoffs with Carl Edwards. Tomorrow here on NASCAR Daily, we got Social Speedway, plus Luke Lambert's going to be here. Oh, and we are on baby watch. Chase Briscoe and his wife, Marissa. I mean, they're due with twins any day. So maybe Social Speedway will break that news tomorrow. We'll see ya.
Daily with Shannon Spake.